Hi guys, here is a YouTube video, and this video is a really raw video. Do a makeup look that's more subtle, more humane, more elegant, more just to show your natural features. And this person that I'm gonna put this video towards is an artist called Siiickbrain, aka Caroline, and she's a very interesting singer, artist, and her music is so different, and I've been listening to her music for about a year now, and her music hits me in a different level. And some people don't understand why her music hits me in a different level, but it generally does. I've been listening to her music since, I think about January 2023, I was listening to her music, and her music was so good to me because I was going through a dark path in my life and I needed something to connect with. And so connecting with her was so interesting because I was realizing that the words that she was saying and the things that she was going through were quite similar to mine. So I was like, I really want to do a makeup look inspired by her when I saw how she actually looks like. And a lot of people don't know what she looks like. They just hear her music, hear the words that she's saying, and just guess what she's saying or assume what she's going to be like. And that's what people do, they assume. And I was realizing it a lot about myself when I was going out and doing things, that most of the time people were assuming who I was, and it became so exhausting. So I struggled to really cope with it, and I struggled to understand why people felt that they knew me. But over time I'm learning that it doesn't matter whether they know me or not, or who I am or what they think I am. It matters about who I am, what I do. It matters by how I feel. So that's why I was so interested in doing this makeup look, because she's really like herself in her music, and it takes a lot because a lot of people have judgmental ideas about you, and they do treat you like absolute shit when you go through something or you have a moment where you have a nervous breakdown in front of everyone. They do. And I was realizing it a lot from the way I feel and how other people make me feel. And I realized this was a big thing when I posted this on Twitter, and there's lyrics that I really enjoyed, and people try and make me hate the music, but I cannot hate her music. I can't turn around and hate it, because this is her words, these are her thoughts, her own feelings, these are what she connects with. And she has a tattoo here, hate, because all they tried to do was make her hate herself. And it was disgusting. Like, people would try and make her feel frightened, scared, worried, ashamed, embarrassed about herself. And I just didn't want to feel that way that I felt. I didn't want to hear someone feel that way. So I became interested in like listening to her music and hearing her lyrics, because I connected with it, because I was going through the same thing. And so I was like, I've never been in this position. How do I get out of it? And so I had like issues with eating, like I went through eating disorders and things like that, and trouble with breakups and relationships, and I couldn't find my way out as such. So I was like, okay, the only person I've got is me. I've got to find it in some sort of way. I've got to go and try and figure it out. I might not rely on one person, but I can rely on multiple people I know to tell me these things. So I really want to do her makeup look, because I feel like doing it would actually be really good to just let people know who I am. But I don't care, because in the end of the day, people will pretend that they still don't know who I am, and that's fine. So let me start with the basics. I am 23 years old, And I often get asked this question on TikTok, on social media, how old I am. I am 23, and I am not stupid, I'm not dumb, I'm not immature. Well, I am immature because I am young. But people often assume that I'm an outgoing person, I'm very chatty. I am sometimes with certain groups of people. I can be chatty with certain people, and I can be really shy. But most of the time I am shy. I don't like people approaching me on the street. I find it really scary. I find it really frightening. I don't like loads of questions being asked to me about things. So if someone comes up to me and says, why do you act like that? Or why do you do this? Why do you do that? I don't like to be nasty to people. I hate it. But people think it's weakness because I don't shout at people. I do. I tell people off, yeah. But I don't shout at people for no reason. I don't see the point. So people think I'm too weak or too kind. No, I just like to be polite. I like to overanalyze. So on my Twitter, I noticed that I overanalyze situations and people and what they say, what they do, and I noticed it became even increasingly, but like more when I went and I got help, and I started blaming myself. Like, maybe if I stopped and think about my actions before I do them, maybe I could have avoided these situations. And I'm slowly realizing it's not about what I could have done. It's not about changing the next step, because you don't know what's going to happen next. Even when you know what's going to happen next, because you can predict it, you don't know what's actually going to happen next. So I became obsessed with finding the next thing, like finding the next thing that I thought was going to happen and trying to stop it before it was happening. This became so increasingly bad because I would wake up or go to like places and people would shout at me in front of everyone, and I would get so embarrassed. And I mean so embarrassed, to the point where I would think people were like making fun of me, and it was horrible. So I started posting stuff on Twitter because I felt like I needed to get across to people about things. When I tried to get across to people about things, I often got dismissed as like really insensitive, or I was like lying, or I was trying to ruin it for other people. When I wasn't, I was generally trying to do the best I could, which was talk about it in the way I could. But people don't realize that when I go to college or I go to school, I talk to people in my college about it because it's so important. I don't do it because I'm trying to be intelligent or smart. I do it because that's the only way I can actually let out my outlet. I had a friend, and you know, we used to talk about the things that we were worried about, and it just felt cool, it felt raw, just connecting with her about those things that I was worried about, scared about. Yeah, and then we had a falling out recently, so we couldn't like connect with each other on a personal level anymore. But it was kind of nice having her around and being able to talk to her about things that were upsetting me. But there was stuff that I couldn't really say to her. Like, I couldn't say a lot of things, so I kept it bare minimum. There's still stuff I don't get to say, but I move on and I try my hardest not to say too much. I noticed that when I went to places like work or school or education, I was different from people, and it was in the way that many people don't really get, which was I would go and sit in a classroom with people, and often I was judged before I even spoke. So I would be judged as like really annoying, really like stupid, really ill-mannered, and I was often seen as really badly behaved, and I just didn't know why. And it became so bad, like to the point where I didn't know whether I was going to be able to really have a normal life. Because before I even spoke, people had like opinions about me and thought of me in a certain way. I first got help for psychiatry. I was actually really willing to get help. I never got admitted by someone. I got referred, but I never got I was never like given help, because I was often ignored, and so I went through a lot of things on my own, because as a young person I had to grow up on my own, and it was hard, but I learned how to get my feet up. I learned how to find my way, and you will learn those things with time. I did a biomedical science degree. Didn't like the degree I did. When I did the biomedical science degree, I would go to like uni, and I didn't like traveling far to study. I found it so scary. I found it frightening. I felt like I wish I had someone to be there for me, to help me, to teach me the ways of growing. But I didn't. And I thought to myself, if I had someone to teach me how to grow, how to become the way I was, like maybe it would have been better. But I didn't, and I went there and I was struggling to fit in with people. I often spent most of my time alone, and it was so bad because I would go to lectures on my own. I would talk to nobody that day, and it was so bad, and I started to think that there was something wrong with me. So I would talk to nobody. I would talk to only my mum on the phone occasionally, and that was it. We had an accommodation, and I had to share with a bunch of boys in the first year. Me and those boys had a fight, and it was just so difficult, and I thought, is there something wrong with me? Like, there must be something wrong with me. Then I went through psychosis, and I didn't even know what psychosis really was. I just went to uni and I just didn't know. So psychosis, for people who don't know what psychosis is, it's basically like a mental state. So it's not actually a mental illness, it's a mental state in which someone goes into due to trauma, substance abuse, sexual harassment, neglect, you name it. So for me, I went into that state of mind, where I was in that state of mind, and I didn't get support. And I thought, like, what the hell? Like, why is everyone shouting at me, making fun of me? And so I went down the street every day alone. I thought, like, one day I'll make it. And then I realized it's not one day I'll make it. I want to make it now. So I would go to the gym, work out. I became obsessed with my body. I started going to the gym every single day to lose a lot of weight. I was basically to the point where I was so small that I'm fimbly, that I was obsessed with it. And I loved it. So I would, wake up in the morning, and I love being fimbly, I love being small. If I wasn't, I felt kind of like ugly, so I would get up again, go to the gym again, and then work out again and again. And I was obsessed with it. I liked it. I liked having my body in that way. But I didn't know that my body was so tired, and I was overexerting it. I didn't know that I was really overexerting it. So I would go to the gym every single day, work out every single day, and that was my life. And then but I had psychosis, so in my head I was going to the gym and I was terrified and frightened. Yeah, and then I would go back home because I went to uni that wasn't near my home. This was away from home, so that's why I kind of wish I never went to a uni away from my home. I feel like I would have had a better time near home, even if I had to go through what I went through. I wish I went through it near home. Then I would have a supportive unit. I didn't have that supportive unit because I was away from home and people didn't really know who I was. At one point I thought, you know, I'm gonna actually die here. At one point I thought, I'm gonna die in this part of town. I'm gonna die in the city and no one's gonna know. I had like people that I would associate with, and they were interesting characters. Like, they would take advantage of me, mess me about, and it was so difficult. And I thought, shit, what am I doing? And when I was vulnerable, people would laugh and find it funny that I was vulnerable. And I thought, what could I have done? What could I have done to make you not feel like laughing at me or making fun of me or, you know, yelling at me? Like, what could I have done to make you not feel that way? And I still don't know. I look back and I'm like, what could I have done? Like, could I have said something? Could I have like changed how you felt? You know what I mean? But you can't, because these people had their own opinions about me. And then after I got help, it took so many years. I was still having like moments of breakdowns, emotional breakdowns. I was still getting manipulated, used by people. I often wasn't listened to by people, authorities, and I was often like deemed as really like silly, and I wasn't taken seriously, and I was often ignored. So it was like a continuous cycle of just going out and not enjoying myself. I went to work and I would work shifts like crazy to earn money. But in my head, I didn't want to be a scientist anymore because I had given up. So one day I was like, I want to learn how to sing. I love music so much, to the point where I was dreaming about writing the best album ever. And I mean, I was dreaming of an album that I thought I was gonna someday write. So I said to my friend, I said, I want to one day write an album. She turns around, she says to me, but you don't know how to sing, you can't sing. I go up to her and I say, I want to learn how to sing so I can write an album. She turns around, she says, this is like a delusion, like you can't do it. And I was singing to myself, I was singing on the street, and from a young age, I was always singing. And it would calm me down, and I couldn't release that energy. So I went and I was like, I need to go and get it. No one's gonna get it for me. I kept on asking people, like, what should I do? Like, can you help me buy my singing lessons, pay for my lessons or something? They said no. So one day I got the hint, and I went and I got my singing lessons. And I started off for about 2 months, and I was paying £50 every 2 months for lessons. One lesson a week for, I think, an hour. It was really good. But she was a classical singer. Like, she was a classical singer. So she would sing classically, and it was so bad because I didn't want to learn how to sing opera or classical music. So I didn't know how to tell someone that the music style that they were doing was not my style. So I started not really like having money for it. Like, I just thought, I don't have money for it. Like, I just didn't have money for it. And even now, like, I just didn't have money. I had started my treatment for psychosis. I just didn't have money to stretch for my dreams. I would go up to people would come up to me and think they could have a fun time, and I would say to them, I want to be a singer, and they just didn't help me in that, and they just thought, oh, okay, I'll help you, but one thing you got to do, you got to sleep with me. Like, they would like make bets about sleeping with me and stuff. So I obviously did not get my singing lessons. I never got those things that I wanted. And then a year ago, in January, and I remember it, I was in the car and this thought flooded into my head in the car. And I was going into people's houses, wiping their bums, cleaning them up, because I was a carer, and I don't know how I did it, but I'm proud of that, and that's why I talk about it all the time. So when I was a carer, I would go in and I would like clean them up, get them ready to, you know, for the next thing they needed to do. And I was in the car waiting for the person I was working with, and I said, in my head, I said, I need a singing teacher. So I applied on this like website. I paid a bit of money towards this monthly fee to find a singing teacher. Found a singing teacher, and I had my first lesson with her in January. Twice a week I was having singing lessons, so I started twice a week because I wanted to go. And it's actually been amazing, like twice a week just going there and singing. Then I said I want to make content as well, and I want to have everything ready for myself. So I started getting stuff, setups, computers, shit like that. I was like, I need to get a computer, I need to get stuff for my like content. I could have got a car, didn't get a car. I said I could take a bus everywhere I needed to go. But at the time, I need this another thing. And I had like thoughts in my head, and I was like at this point where I was depressed. I was like, okay, I'm having flashbacks, I'm having sad points in my life. I feel sad because I was in love with these people who were famous celebrities who took advantage of me. So I said to myself, okay, get the singing lessons, get the computer set up, get the things ready for what you need. I was at this point where I was doing content on TikTok, and I was posting makeup tutorials, and the tutorials were coming out bam, bam, bam. Like they were coming out every few days. I had like a video, a fashion thing that I was doing, like I do clothing try-ons and everything. So every video was coming out, and I was getting TikTok videos out. I had a YouTube account on the side. This YouTube account was really interesting because this YouTube account was
about what you said to me the other day about my painting. Instead of half the night thinking about it.
So this YouTube account was basically a YouTube account that I would post like my powerlifting on. And then I had posted like try-ons, dolls killed hauls and everything. So I started like trying to get those out. I started live streaming on Twitch. I was trying to get my content out, and it was working. I was like, damn, like what is this? Like, why am I so adamant that I need to get content out? Why am I so adamant I need to put myself out there and tell my story? And it's partly because I couldn't let what those people did to me really sit. I couldn't sit back and watch my life fade, because I'd seen them, and I thought, I want it for myself. So after that time was after I graduated from uni. I had graduated with a 3rd, so it was the lowest grade in the course. So I graduated in January 2023 with a 3rd. I was proud of the graduation, but I wasn't proud enough. I wasn't happy enough. I was like, I want more. So one day I brainstormed. In 2023, I brainstormed a vision board. This vision board, it consisted of a bunch of stuff that I wanted to complete by the end, and I mean by the end of 2023. So I knew that it had to be something like something I could complete, like not going to Mars or something, because obviously I haven't I can't complete that because I'm not an astronaut, and I haven't really like done a space program and stuff like that. But I had like ambitions, like start my singing lessons, which I did, practice the guitar, which I did, get my ukulele. I have 2 ukuleles. One's my favorite, one's my okay, like my starter ukulele. I had like things that I had going for me. Another one was get my makeup course started. That one, I was so proud. When I started it, I was like, damn. I walk into the classroom in September, and I knew I was going to be pulled down to the level where I was going to be treated like absolute crap. And I couldn't say why. It was because when I was in a disgusting state of mind, I was in a state of mind where I was really ill, and people around me just didn't like me because they thought I was reckless or silly. So I became untrustable and unreliable. So they just couldn't rely on me coming in and like getting my course done. So I started coming in, getting the course done, getting all my assignments done, having projects on the side, and I was doing really well. 2023 September, I was discharged from the hospital, and I was put into a eating disorder clinic because I have bulimia and binge eating. This is after 2 years of taking antipsychotics. So I also got accused of being pregnant. I also talked about this in the stream. I actually had to take antipsychotics for 2 years. Someone said to me, like, what advice would you give? I said to people, don't think of psychosis as a long-term permanent thing. Even if you get it, I would rather every young person seeks mental stability and goes and gets help. Because you don't know. You might be lucky. You might turn around tomorrow and wake up and your life is complete. And people don't see it like that. People think it's a forever thing where you wake up and you can't be yourself again, when it's not. You can have a cure. You can live a better life. It might be you might struggle after a couple of years, but you will find your feet, because that's life. You know, when you get the right treatment, when you keep on going to do the right things. And people will hammer down about their own lives and say, you know, have their own personal beliefs, but it's always wrong. Let me tell you that. So this kid comes up to me and says, she's like, you know, she's like someone who follows my, TikTok. And my TikTok was like really popping that year. Like I had a post that had 1 million views, and I had a post that had 1 million likes that year. So I became popping on TikTok, and she followed and she liked my TikTok content. And she was, you know, a fan. And she met my dog when I got my dog in August. He was 3 months old, and I was getting my life together. So start working at a pharmacy before I go and study at my college. And, you know, it was a starting point, I have to admit. But then I left that place. Well, I didn't leave, I got fired. But that's enough. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. She was a very stigmatizing person. She was really like weird about things. She didn't like knowing someone. She just wanted to have her own opinion. And I have to say, from my perspective, it doesn't work. You can't have your own opinion about these things because no one wants to know. These are things that you should just kind of keep to yourself, because you don't know, and I'm the only one who knows how it felt to take this medication. And when I took them, I have to admit, I think it was the best choice, finding my senses again. And people will say it changed you, it broke you down, you weren't yourself anymore, you became quiet, you started hiding yourself. But when I saw how I was like constantly messed about, I don't think I want that life again. So I said, to be honest, like, I would take sane over crazy any day. So she had she had her own opinion, the manager at that pharmacy. She was always like trying to bring me down, and I noticed that every time I go to a workplace, I would go to the next one, and the next one. And it was always like that. So I had to look at a system in my head, like, how do I stop myself from being a victim in these like situations of stigmatization? And some people, they know you're going through it because they can tell by your personality, how you are, how you put yourself together, how quiet you are, how you put yourself together, how you talk, because your mental health does affect you. And people think it's just about telling people. No, your mental health affects how you are. So if someone can see your vulnerability. When you're mentally ill, someone can see it. And it's disgusting, because people can choose whether they can take advantage of you or not. So I would go to places with like classmates or something, and they would be like, well, how does everyone know that you're ill? They can see it because they can see your illness. They can see you. Like, when you look at someone, you can tell when someone's disabled sometimes. It's like, when I look at you, I don't see it though. And I'm like, it's because you see me every day and you know me. But when you see someone, you can kind of like tell when someone's different or how someone is, their body language, their behavior, that, you know, simple things like that. So I was like, okay, how do I not make myself vulnerable? So I started doing things like keeping to myself, like, but it doesn't really help. The only way you can do that is by being aware of you, being aware of those silly people that don't really mean anything, because they're silly. It's disgusting. So the first time I got to college, it was so hard because I was vulnerable, because I was going in and no one really wanted to appreciate that I was different from them. So I would come in and I would go through a lot of hatred, verbal abuse, and I was like, it's gone blurry again. Yes, it's gone blurry again. Come on. I was like, okay, what can I do to stop myself from being vulnerable? And I just didn't know. I was like, is this going to be my life forever? I was like, am I going to wake up and be like this forever? And to be honest, I don't know. I can't say whether I will or not, but I hope not, because it seems shit. So I went to college and I had to fight. And then there was a thing that someone was saying to me in like, someone was saying in the workplace, why don't you just start like talking about it in the workplace, like fighting every time someone tries to bring you down? And it's partly because you can fight and fight, but people won't agree with the fact that you are who you are, because people are shit, because they will come down on you 10 times harder. And I noticed it when I would go out with my classmates, and my classmates started to notice it, and that was the day that I started to notice that it wasn't fair, because it's a one-way fits all system. Like, it's a one-way only fits you system, and it doesn't fit anyone else. And it's like it's like pervert. Some of these people are perverts, some of these people are weirdos who just want to get into your pants. Some of these people just like seeing you scared. So it was kind of like I kept on going on and on, trying to fight it, and like, it was so hard. And I remember there was a lyric that an artist said in their song. It was like, every time I fight the hysteria. And I would listen to their music and I'd be like, why is it like that? They were saying every song, every time I listened to that song, I was obsessed with this artist. I would listen to this artist all the time, because this artist would like kind of teach me something, but I don't know if it teaches me anything really. because you don't know. But I would listen to this artist, and this artist would say, I'm tired of fighting the hysteria every time I go outside, I do things. And I was like tired myself. I was like, I'm tired of it. I don't want to ever fight the hysteria. I want to wake up and not fight this hysteria that everyone has about me. So I was like, I'm done. I just want to go home and enjoy myself. I want to wake up, enjoy myself. But I just couldn't. So it was a bit annoying. So yeah, it was so hard, and it's still hard. Like, I go to work and I feel like I need to breathe, and then I realize that I'm not the only one, because people come and they go, you know, and they meet different people. But I'm like, I want to go to somewhere and feel me, you know, and feel me. But I have to kind of move on. You can't keep on saying, if I had done this differently, because you will continue to do it, and the people who made fun of you, took advantage of you, they won't look back and be like, oh, I wish I, you know. No, they will look back and be like, oh, you know what? And they'll come back 10 times harder and start punching you with their punching bags. So I turned around and I was like, today is the day I stop. And then they're like, oh, they're gonna come on their social media and start taking advantage of you on social media then, and like yelling at you on social media. I said, okay. I said, it's not about like people yelling about you on social media. It's not about hiding how you feel, because that's not life. It's about just being truthful and fighting these people headstrong. Like, the accusations that people have, you take it and you start posting it on social media. So I started posting it on every social media platform I had. I started posting it on Twitter. I started putting it in my TikTok. So I started really putting it out there for people to know that these people hurt me. And even though they were going out and they were saying they were enjoying their lives, they weren't, because they were going out, and every time they were going out, every person would come up to them and say, oh, so you going out without Esther? Because one guy actually went down on one knee and actually tried to propose to me, and they would mess with me, and I would be like, oh, tired again. And it was all because I loved someone who just couldn't respect me and couldn't care about me enough. And I was so convinced that my life could be better, and it wouldn't. Because guys like that, they never change for you. So yeah, I went through what I went through, and it taught me a lot. Like, how do I make myself understand it's not my fault? And I had to really just tell myself every time, when someone blames me, I'm clever, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm wise, I'm confident, I'm kind, I'm courageous, I'm sweet, I always have the best interest in heart. I sometimes say things that people think, whoa, like, and then they stop and stare. I'm someone, and I'm gonna be great. And I had to do that, and I have to keep on doing it, because if I don't, they're gonna go on fucking every website, every Twitter that they can find, and say the most horriblest things that are gonna make me cry. So I did it, and it was what I had to do. And so I became a psychologist on social media. I became a mathematician at college. I became a writer at home. I became a singer at school. So I started like doing things to really make myself feel good. And I said, okay, all these fans are gonna go and still call me a slag and everything, but I'm not gonna give up. because there'll come a day where they will see what he did to me. They will see what they will see what all those people did to me, and it will become increasingly aware like that I deserve better. And I always got scared, like what happens if there was someone other than me? What happens if it was someone else and I was watching them go through what I went through? And you know, someone said to me, there is no other person, it's just you. And it hurt when they said it. I was like, don't say that to me, because it hurt. Like, it really hurt like a ton of bricks when they said there's no other person, it's just you. Like, then, like, there's no person who will go through what you went through. Sorry to say that. And I went and I was like, oh my God. But I was like, yes. I was like, yes. Like, I don't even have to worry about someone else, because there is no other person. Like, if I typed it in, there is no person after me. You know, I'm the only person. And I was so proud of that. And when people tried to lie to me that, oh, I'm scared to be your friend because you might make me ill, I went, okay. And then I started noticing that person would always go through bad stuff. Like, I mean, like, they would get picked on or annoyed when they said things like that, because it was wrong to say. And I have to be truthful. If I said that to them, I would expect to be picked on, because it's not okay to say that, because there's nothing wrong with me. And so every time someone says something like that, I would have to, like, I have to stop them before they say it. And if they say it, they go, oh, why is everyone treating me like dirt? And I say, I try and like help them out, but you can't, because they're not going to listen to you. They're going to be like, oh, she ruined it for me. She's cursing me. She's like bullying me, getting her followers on TikTok to bully me. And it's not that. It's generally because if you said that to any other person, they'll come down 10 times harder. And it hurts because it's not true. There is no other person. You should never feel like there will be another Esther. And it's not going to be a bad thing if there is another Esther. It's not going to be their fault. It's going to be the other people's fault. Those guys who did that to them, you know? But they got away. And it was like, and some people said they got away. And it was like, in your head they got away. But they always suffer. And it hurts to say, but I look back and I think, oh, fuck you. I don't even give a shit. But people would try and remind me, like, you're going to work, cleaning toilets, wiping the bar down. You're going to work and you're doing loads of hours to make ends meet. I'm not really trying to make ends meet. I'm generally just going to work. So I started getting comments like that from like people that I was working with. Like, those guys are getting millions and millions to post videos on social media and to be famous on social media. And that wasn't really true, because you don't know how much they're getting. These are estimations of what you think they're getting. And I post videos and I don't get that type of money myself to actually have enough to buy $1 million mansion. No, I don't know who has that type of money. And especially after you pay for your YouTube videos and like the publicity that you have, like, I don't think anyone has that type of money to really have for themselves. Like, I don't know. So people assume that they were like millionaires. Well, I guess they probably are. I'm not going to say they're not. But I got something to say, like, they can be millionaires. Some of them are. Some YouTubers are. But many of them aren't. Even if they're singers or actors, like, it doesn't mean that, you know, they're living it luxurious. Because you still got to work. You got to pay tons of taxes. You got to do responsible things. You got to keep it going. You can't just lie down at home. You got to pay for the people who edit your videos. Yeah, you're responsible for yourself, but other people too. And I always thought, oh, but now there's a happy ending. They're gonna get married and have kids of their own, and I'm gonna be alone, and I'm gonna be struggling to find my feet. And it's not true, because I'm not struggling to find my feet. I am just single. So yeah, and I hope that one day I find someone that sees me for me. Wow, I really like the look. It's just so natural, so fucking natural. Where's the mascara? So I hope to find someone who sees me for me and sees me in the way that I need them to see me as. But obviously that takes time, and I'm glad that I don't have to rush things, because okay, if I rush, I'm going to be in the same predicament as I was 5 years ago with someone who treats me like absolute dirt. These people didn't treat me like absolute dirt, I have to admit. Some of these people generally cared about me, but because I was in a state of mind where I wasn't really well enough to absorb that information, like, I don't know whether they cared about me or not, but I know that I have to care about me, and I have to put myself first. And putting myself first is by telling myself, okay, I gotta look after myself. I care about myself enough to say, fuck off. When someone comes up to me and they're messing me about, tell someone fuck off. So yeah, it was pretty hard going through what I went through. And I always question this, like, if you hear all the sad stuff you hear about me, why do you treat me the way you do? And you never know, because in their heads it makes sense why they do, but it never does. Like, as I could look at myself, I actually really like it. I think she's very beautiful, and that's why I picked it, because you can just see her beauty. And I think that's what she wanted you to see in her music, in her artwork. She wants you to see her real beauty. And I really say to people, don't just assume everything is simple, because people aren't just showing you one side. Like, they're showing you who they are in the way they are, and they're showing you their work and who they want to show you. And they just want to show you the raw side of them, and the things that they find difficult, the things that they struggle with, and the stories that they want to tell you in the right way. And I actually rate her for this, because you'd be surprised that her makeup is actually very beautiful. And I'm going to take off my wig cap. I had this on to keep my hair down, but I don't even want to have my wig on. I want to have like a natural look. I can even put my wig on if you want. No. It's like, don't fuck with me! My dog's like, don't fuck with me! Sometimes I think my dog's so scary. Like, he's like a proper dog. Okay, let's try this one. I notice you cry. Please stop. Oh, no, it's right. Oh my god. Okay, I've done enough. Okay, let's take a photo. Let's take a fucking photo. This is so embarrassing doing it something like shit. Okay, okay. Okay, let's try it. I'm trying to get a good one. Please stop. Oh shit, I deleted it. Yeah, my dog's not having it. But okay, that's the end of the video, guys. I love you all, and have a nice day and keep safe, guys. I love you all. Bye, guys.